Thank you for joining me for this episode of The Wild Sonnets Out Loud. My name is Nicholas Korn, and I am the poet of The Wild Sonnets. Every week I pull 2 poems from the 6 books in print, and I read them here. The first selection comes from the first book of Wild Sonnets. I remember finishing this poem and thinking, this is a little different from the preceding poems that started the series, but there's an approach here that offers an interesting way forward. With that as an intro, this is Wild Sonnet number 16. Though intricate the rules of grief may be, what could ever govern such a thing? Collapse, though quiet, has its chaos too. And worse, to stand in judgment of the broken itself is judgment breaking. Dirge has its dance, though slow and simple, still it persuades the air to move in majesty with one's despair. The only loss that loss must learn to bear is of itself, as of emptiness in being emptied, finds in its meaning fullness, and in its fullness what meaning means to be renewed. But if sorrow refuses to submit to law, how reckless will it find the state of joy which nothing yet can bind. And that was Wild Sonnet number 16 from the Wild Sonnets Volume 1. The next Wild Sonnet is from the 4th volume in the series. Quite simply, it is a poem that asks us to measure the voice we hear inside us with the voices that are everywhere around us. With that being spoken, here is Wild Sonnet number 359. The heart is ancient in us and an oracle of red. It knows the orisons the dying speak and hears the gossips of the dead. It can repeat what love will say once love has packed and gone away. It can recite the father's speech who thinks his son unwisely wise enough to reach. It can predict what all will say upon occasions each. I will not ask the blunt and bleating world to untrumpet all it says. For any quiet I request with ruckus only will be answered. I must teach my listening to be lonely, must instruct my hearing to be solo and silo, to be of singled frequency, that my enactments may the difference divine between the signal inward and the outward sign. And that was Wild Sonnet number 359 from the Wild Sonnets Volume 4. I hope you've enjoyed the 2 Wild Sonnets I've shared in this episode. I want to let you know about the Wild Sonnets Completely Wild Collection. It is a download of all 6 volumes which have been released up to now, plus a download of the new book, which is coming, Volume 7, when I release it next month, and the download of every book I release after that, which is usually once a year. Essentially, it's a subscription series of everything for the price of a single paperback, which goes for $20. If you are interested, just look in the captions and comments for the link. And finally, I just want to thank you for watching. I'll be back in a few days to share 2 more poems in the next episode of The Wild Sonnets Out Loud. Until then, stay wild and stay well.